Life moves pretty fast. You don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it.
Welcome to another edition of Around the Turnbuckle. I'm the Big Alboski. There's my partner in crime, Professor Keith, as always. And joining us live from Texas is Sebastion Envi. What's up, Sebastion?
Not much. How you guys doing?
We are excellent, sir. We are excellent. How's the weather down there?
I mean, it's actually fairly warm today, like t-shirt weather. But I mean, it's Texas, so give it 10 or 15 minutes. I'm sure it'll change.
We got comments already. Big Dave Motorman says, Sunday night around the turnbuckle we go. Excited about learning about Texas's Sebastion Envi to wrap up an exciting wrestling weekend. It was, Dave. Great weekend of wrestling this week up in the Pennsylvania area anyway. David Hill, see you there, brother. Good evening. Hope you had a good time yesterday as well. We're from professors from New Jersey, Sebastion, in case you didn't know, and I am from Pennsylvania. So we're, we kind of cover mostly the Pennsylvania, New York, New Jersey area, but we love talking to guys from, like yourself, from other places, especially Texas. Texas is a big wrestling state, a huge history there.
Hopefully, God willing, and the creek don't rise, I'll get up there, at some point into the Northeast. I've been wanting to for a minute. I just haven't caught on with anyone at any point, but that's,
You did mention that you had wrestled in a lot of states. Pre-show, you mentioned that. Could you mention them again, some of the states you've wrestled in?
Tennessee, Georgia, Arkansas, Oklahoma, Washington, and of course, Texas. So I'm trying to spread out more, just go to, because I'm all about just having opportunities to work good shows and with good workers in different places. So it's definitely, I've got my list of goals and stuff, your New Year's resolutions and all that stuff. I had set some goals for myself for 2022, and admittedly, some of them I hit. A lot of them I didn't, so it's just trying to refocus and just kind of push them to 2023 and just refocus and get them done, both wrestling related and film and production related, as I do that as well.
So take us to the beginning, man. Take us to where you got yourself involved in the business, because obviously you love it. You wouldn't be doing this. Most of these guys that do this don't put their body on the line for our entertainment if you don't love this, right? So where did that happen for you?
I mean, as far as been a lifelong wrestling fan as long as I can remember. I mean, I'm sure you've heard that a million times. Sure. I can't remember the first show that I watched or my first favorite wrestler or anything like that. It's always been just in my mind, in my memories of watching it. In North Texas, in Denton, Texas specifically, there was a company called XCW, and they were hot for a good decade or more in that area. And I'd moved up from South Texas, from Victoria, Texas, to the DFW area, and I was working for a newspaper at the time. I have a bachelor's degree in journalism, so I'm a writer. Love to write. Worked for a newspaper for a little over a decade, until the job that I have now in the more of a private sector, corporate type thing, where I utilize my film background and as my part of my everyday sort of job, which is why I was hashtag all my stuff is not just a gimmick. Like the cinephile thing is not just a gimmick. It's it's what I do. But there's just one day I was wanting to go to work a different way when I worked for the newspaper in Denton, and I just took a back way, and I passed by this giant building that said XCW Wrestling. And it was it was weekly. Every Saturday they were having shows, and I had walked in there and spoke to the owner, Knight Davis, and just expressed my interest in the company and in training. And we worked some stuff out and ended up training, and that was April of 2010. And then October of 2011 is when I had my first worked my first show. It's an IHWE in Fort Worth, Texas, and then just been trying to hit it, ever since.
Got a couple more comments here. Chris Vant from South Carolina says, "What's up, guys?" David Hilt again says, it'd be great to have you at an SWO show. SWO is Susquehanna Wrestling Organization, Sebastian, up in the York, Pennsylvania area.
I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, it's not
It's a
too
very
far
good,
from
very
Philly.
good group.
Cool. I'll have to check it out. Yeah, it's definitely just, I'm in the mode of like, I'm just finding listings that people post of pretty much like calendar listings of events and stuff like that in wrestling groups, stuff like that. And I'm just like copying it, and I'm just going down the list and just trying to just hit everybody that I can, just basically just to get some opportunities, because I know that, I mean, there's a lot of us out there that are trying to do the same thing. So it's just a matter of being, I find that I try to thread that line between being persistence versus pestering,
Right.
But I mean, I guess you got to kind of pester people to kind of get in front of, get to the top of the deck, as it were.
Yeah.
People.
The professor and I were at a local Pennsylvania independent wrestling event last night, and we had a great time, everything like that. There was an interesting conversation I had with a gentleman where he was talking about how indie/territorial wrestling has sort of been more on the rise over the past 5 years. You agree with that?
I would say so. And it's well, define on the rise, because I mean, I feel like it's always been there. I mean, we have like the different styles kind of.
Well, when I say on the rise, there's been more and more promotions like popping up, and some of them like don't last, but others actually have something good going.
Well, I mean, a lot of them. We were joking, I think, at the it's one of the shows in Texas that I started working recently that kicked off this past year is MPW out of Borger, Texas, Motivate Pro Wrestling. It's a great show. If you're in that area, you need to come check it out, see what we got cooking. And we kind of joked, we're joking in the locker room about, it's getting kind of close to tax time, and that's when you see, those tax return promotions pop up, or
right.
Have a bloated card with a whole bunch of guys, who used to be in, WWE or WCW or this or that or whatever, and they'll have like all them at like the first show, and then you won't hear from them ever again until like the next year, and it's like a different crop of tax return promotions. So there are those that pop up, and then there's other ones that I think have their heads in the right place. They're willing to do the work as far as promotion and just putting the product out there, more than just you're sharing the post a couple times on Facebook or Twitter. They're putting the footwork out there to really get people to see what the product and the show.
That's an interesting question that just popped in my head there. As a wrestler, and you're looking for these other places to wrestle, places you haven't wrestled before, when you start researching these places, are you looking for more established, like ones that have been around for 10, 15, 20 years, maybe even longer, rather than the ones that have only been there for a year or two?
No, because I think you could have a show, it could be around 50, it could have managed to stay around for 15 years, and it could suck from a talent standpoint, from a production standpoint, just from a direction standpoint. So I'll look at footage from the shows. I'll look at photos. I just want to see, I'll look at some of their flyers and stuff to kind of see the workers that they're bringing in. But to me, it's I want to see the presentation, what they're giving to the crowd. It's not saying that, I mean, you could have a show that has a higher budget than another one, and the show with the higher budget just may not be using their resources the best, so they don't look as good as maybe this smaller promotion that doesn't have the money that they have, but they just do things the right way. They're more organized and that sort of thing. So that's what I kind of look at. It's just how things look, presentation, and I think that's important, more so than the time that it's been around. Because like I said, a promotion could be not the best, but still managed for whatever reason. I mean, it could be like somebody just for whatever reason has endless amounts of money to just pour into it to keep it going. So
So 2011, you have your first match. Did you have your character in mind when you first started, or did that develop over time?
Kind of developed. I didn't really have anything for a number of years, and I know the old adage, like the best character in wrestling is just take an aspect of your personality, dial it up to a million or whatever, and that's kind of what you should go with. I was never one for just the gimmick, like the super gimmicky type of stuff, like your I'm trying to think. Had one that I just lost it, but your Doink,
like Doink the Clown,
yeah. And actually, like when I first started, I had a great conversation with Matt Bourne about things a long time ago. But I wasn't that sort of just gimmicky type of person, or at least I didn't think of one then. I was just sort of like Sebastion Envi. Just it was a nifty name. I was like just picking between like that name and like another name, and I just like settled on that one because I liked how it sounded, and that's how I went for it. I had hunter green singlet, and that's how I rolled out there. You know, as I got further in, I kind of wanted to have more of a character because that's important. And I settled on the I was big into anime, big into Dragon Ball Z, and
it's up your alley, Professor.
Yep, speaking my language there.
Geek nerd type thing. So I was like the strong style nerd for like the longest time, and I had like Dragon Ball Z like themed gear. Had like my first merch shirt was like a little chibi me standing on top of a knocked out Goku, and the shirt said "Hits harder than Goku." And that was fun for a bit until so like I was finding that people were getting just too wrapped up in the fact that I was like in Dragon Ball Z gear. So like it's like they were stuck on that. So I had one promotion. The big idea for that guy, that for that place was to dust off a long retired indie guy who just happened to be bald, and he was gonna like have like paint him green basically to be like like my Goku,
right?
And I'm just like, and it kind of frustrated me because I'm just like it's because he legit said like he didn't know what to do with me, and I'm just like, well, put me in good matches with good people and let me just do what I can do. I'll either see him, you know,
and then just figure it out from there. Like,
right.
Oh, I know what Sebastion does now. I have an idea based on what he does.
Right. So, coming out of that and just my frustration from that, I wanted to kind of switch up what I was doing. And plus, I mean, the Dragon Ball Z thing was fun. It was easy to go out there and get people to cheer for me and stuff like that. Like at one, it was a church show that I worked for a promotion in Texas called Christian Wrestling Federation, CWF. It's the owner describes it as a sports-based ministry. It's been around for 20 plus years. Typical shows, they have a couple matches, they have a testimony, they have an overall message. So like you can go there for either specifically for the message, the more like, you know, biblical theme like message, and hopefully you get a good wrestling show out of it, or you go there for the wrestling and maybe you get like something out of like the message or whatever. So I really like that company and what they did as far as the juxtaposition of the ministry with the wrestling and just trying to reach people in different ways. I'm not like your hardcore, you know, Bible thumper that knows like the Bible like cover to cover or anything, but I do have like my beliefs and things that I think and my spiritual way of approaching things. So I liked that ministry. And it on one of the church shows that we worked in, I want to say that was in Arkansas. I got when I came out as like strong style nerd, I got cheers of like Black Goku, which like followed me around like anywhere I went after that, which was fun. It was cool. It was like I just liked it. It was like easy to kind of get people behind me and that sort of thing. But after I had that discussion with that particular booker, I was like, okay, I want to get away from that because I didn't want to run into anybody else who was going to have that same thing where they were just going to get stuck on the singlet and not be able to see past that to see what I can do, or just want to put me in sort of gimmicky sort of stuff and not look at me seriously. So it's like kind of racked my brain over what can I do that's more me, which then lends itself to switching to the strong style cinephile, because it's just taking two of my loves I have in life, filmmaking and pro wrestling, and just putting them together. And that's more of my natural self as far as like what I do. I actually do, film stuff. Like I'm like not in my home office like right now, because if I was, you would see like cases and cases of action figures and stuff like all around me. I'm a huge collector. After we get done here, I've got to reshoot some stuff for a comedy short film that I'm working on with a buddy of mine.
Nice.
So again, I always say like it's not just like the cinephile thing is not just a gimmick. It's what I do. It's a side hustle right now. I want to. It's again one of my goals for the last couple of years. The kind of the Rona apocalypse kicking off kind of slowed my plans down, but I want to be able to have more gigs as far as like production with corporate interviews or businesses with their marketing and their promotional type advertisement, short films, longer films, music videos, especially. There's all a bunch of stuff that I'm trying to that I want to do and put myself out there for people to hire me to do, and also kind of push my own stuff as well, because I have few personal like projects and short films. I have a 80s like slasher movie spoof. I've got a comic book I'm working on right now that was a live action thing, but I'm taking it back to its comic book roots due to the disaster that it was as a live action project. So I'm just trying to learn from my failures and just keep pushing forward with my goals, as I said, in wrestling as well as film, stuff like that. Just trying to, learn and keep moving forward. Some stuff I've like succeeded at, some stuff I've failed royally at in filmmaking and in wrestling. And it's just trying to refocus and keep pushing forward and just trying to achieve some of this stuff.
Professor, this guy is your best friend that you never met.
And it's starting to feel like it, because I mean, yeah, I'm really nerdy and geeky myself. I have action figures and stuff.
Behind you,
behind me, and stuff you can't see off camera too. And I mean, I'm a big movie guy. I love horror movies. I love movies in general. I mean, I'm curious, since you have the two loves of filmmaking and wrestling, are you finding ways to try to blend the two things together? Because it feels like to me there's an opportunity there for you to do that.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing with the strong style cinephile. And I always like tell people, like my thing is, have it on like one of my merch shirts, which I'm not wearing now, but I have it like where it says stick to the script. And that's what I'm always like trying to do, maintain order, and just, if you stick to the script, then we all look good. That's what I say all the time, even though you get in the ring with certain people that want to go off script, it's the director in me just kind of, reins things in a little bit, keeps things on track. And of course, myself and my tag team partner, the leading man, Michael Schaefer, is the leading man, Hollywood guy. Those types of things kind of revolve around our tag team of Best Picture, which of course, again,
love it,
movie type stuff. So it's like, and I think it lends itself to, we go to some shows, people love us. Go to some shows, people don't like us as much. We just do what we do and just let the chips fall where they may. But I think it lends itself to, whatever side of the aisle, if you want to like cheer us or boo us or whatever, it all works.
Do you have a preference? Because some guys love to piss them off.
But some guys I'm naturally a dick, so like I'll go out there and I'll like slap hands and kiss babies and all that fun stuff. I'm a professional. I'll do what I need to do. But at the end of the day, I'm a dick. So I like to be able to kind of be my true self.
I have a fan question here. Chris Vant, he says, did you start wrestling at an early age? Grow up with it in your heart? Like, is it what we wanted to do? And what would you say to a young beginner just getting into the business? Most guys say don't do it.
Be sure it's really what you want to do, because it's something. Think about like one of the things that my trainer said to me like last year. And yeah, something like last year, he had said to me like more people should know about you than they presently do. And I took that as like I'm not doing enough to promote myself, to market myself. And I really like there was a time where I just was kind of frustrated with things, and I kind of fell off with trying to push myself out there more. So that's a strike against me. That's time that was like, wasted not doing anything, not putting myself out there like that. So that's what I would tell anybody new to the business is really just work to promote yourself, to put yourself out there. Because this is one of those businesses, one of those industries where you truly can get out of it what you put in from an effort standpoint. If you're just, just promote shows, promote yourself, just any way you can. And it's stupid for me because it's like I didn't just wake up like 3 years ago when I switched from, the nerd to the cinephile and have the video editing skills that I have, the production skills, the cinematography skills that I have. I've had those since I graduated from college. And my like genius self just didn't apply them, didn't use them to promote myself, which is like, again, stuff I'm kicking myself about now because there's so much time wasted, time that I missed. And that's the thing. It's like you just want to take advantage of all the time that you've got. Because your time in this business could be long, it could be short, but you want to make the most of it that you can for the time that you're in it. And all that falls back on you from promotion marketing standpoint, from a training standpoint, just from a learning standpoint, from just a physical standpoint, from your body taking care of yourself. So much of this is just on you, and you just have to be prepared to do the work to get the best out of it, is what I would say. And as I said earlier, like I grew up with it in my heart. I guess you could say I did, because I literally cannot remember when I started liking it. I just know that I did. I remember going over to one of my friend's houses, and he had a whole like stack of like those old like WWF magazines. We would just pour through them, just looking. We were 9, 10 or whatever, so we weren't exactly like reading the articles, but we were just like looking at the pictures and stuff like that. And literally every time I would go over there, we'd spend at least like an hour or two every weekend I was over there, and just going. We had done it dozens, if not hundreds of times before, but we'd be doing the same thing, and it's just what we liked and what we loved. Now I wrestled in high school for my sophomore, junior, senior year. I would have wrestled in college. I would have liked to, but the school I went to, Louisiana Tech in Ruston, Louisiana, and they didn't have wrestling. So I did wrestling and track were my two big things. So they didn't have wrestling, so I just did track.
So you started off as a single for a while. When did you meet your partner, your leading man, as you called him before?
So I've long since wanted to do. I'm just a tag team wrestling mark. I love it. I just love the concept of it. Demolition is one of my favorite all-time tag. Is my favorite all-time tag team. Just
good choice.
Yeah. The original Axe Smash, not so much like when Crush came in. I understand when they phased out Axe and the reasons why and that sort of thing, but they just, to me, didn't have that it factor that Axe and Smash did. But I'm a huge fan of tag team wrestling. I always wanted to tag with one of the guys that I was like training with. That was kind of like I didn't like discuss it like with them. We didn't sit down and like, hey, we're gonna get together. We're gonna be tag team partners when we get through with our training and we're ring ready. It was just something I had in the back of my mind because it was something that I wanted to do. So it didn't exactly work out with them. One of the guys I trained with, like he and I tagged on some like pre-shows and here and there, and we started calling ourselves DMK, which stood for Dark Match Kings, and I wanted to carry it further than he was, I guess, interested in doing it, which, no problem. I have no issue with that. People have their different ideas and goals and that sort of thing. So I've always, and then here and there, I've teamed up with some like random guys on shows, or teamed up with guys I know on shows, stuff like that. And I've just always kind of wanted to have that sort of long-term like partner to like tag with. If nothing else, it's like somebody else to run the road with, to share some of the costs and stuff on the road.
Right. Yeah.
And that sort of thing. But it's like I've seen where some shows are really big into like tag team wrestling, and some shows aren't as much, because I can understand it, because it's like 4 people that you're taking up for one show for payouts. So from a business standpoint, it's 4 payouts, like 4 envelopes for just one match. So I can understand from a business standpoint that some shows may not be big on tag team wrestling. Me and Shaver got together at Metroplex Wrestling, MPX, Bedford, Texas. They're a weekly show, and it just happened that I was thrown in a like a fatal 5-way type thing where the person who scored the pinfall, which was me, got to pick a partner of their choosing and then go after we had a guaranteed tag title shot with the current champions at the time. So had some auditions that I did here and there that I posted on Facebook and my Instagram and all that stuff, and nothing worked out. And then Schaefer and I just got I was going to get saddled with a rookie for a match, and Schaefer came out and took care of the rookie, and then he and I tagged. Things didn't go well for the first take, if you will, but we had we had a retake of sorts, and we got kind of on the same page, and that was a couple years ago now. So we've been tagging together as we can, and I enjoy it because it's him as the leading man has kind of molded his persona to kind of fit with myself as I'm the director, he's my leading man, and then we work together, we stick to the script, we get things done. That's just how we work. And I really enjoy tagging with him because he's like I told you guys, like pre-show, I'm gonna get either him on the show by himself or us back around together. He's somebody that I think a lot more people should know about than they do. He's like a 6'7", like 300-pound dude that can move like a cruiserweight. Got that ballerina sort of body control and ability and stuff like that. And tagging with him has definitely been fun, and hopefully it will be fun for like many days, months, years to come as we try to make our mark from a tag team standpoint on the pro wrestling world. So
I got a question here from a fan of ours named Mike Bucciaroni, who says, very interesting interview. Growing fan of independent short films on YouTube. Are there any of your videos out there?
Yes, you can go to youtube.com. I guess they changed it where you can do like a little @ sign. Mm-hmm. And Skunk Life Media is my YouTube page. I've got my matches on there. I've got some short films that I've done in recent years, and then I have this series of I guess geek talk videos called Let Us Geek, where I talk about movies and some select like more geek themed like TV shows and stuff like that, which I would love like more people to actually check out.
Yeah.
But right now I just have videos for my tens of viewers. My tens. I'd like to get
we're right there with you. We got about 700 followers, so.
Mm-hmm. And it's like, so like my page, I don't even remember because I've had like a couple things on the page. So I've had like my wrestling stuff. I've had some short films. I've had like my Let Us Geek series, and I've had I do stop motion animation with my action figures. So I've had some of that stuff on there too, and I have like 1,450 subs, but that number has stayed the same for like the past 6 years. So I don't even remember like who came for what. So I'm trying to like kind of sort through that, and I told myself again, it's one of those goals I was going to try to make an effort this year to push my channel and the stuff that I do on it, which it's like on the one hand there's like any number of other channels out there that review movies or TV shows or this or that.
You ever see Dead Meat? Never look that guy up. You love horror films, right?
Mm-hmm.
Look up Dead Meat.
Okay. On
YouTube. That guy does a show called The Kill Count, where he actually counts the kills of all the horror films.
Yeah.
And he's done hundreds of horror films over the past 5 years.
Mm. That's cool.
Really, you'll love that one. You'll thank me for that one.
I will definitely check it out.
And go back to what you were saying. I mean, that's a thought process we had in terms of conceiving this show. Is like, how do you grow and how do you do anything on a platform like YouTube where, like you say, there's any idea you have, there could be like 100 odd people that are doing the same thing. So what do you do that stands out, that
Right.
makes you a destination, that says to the people like, yeah, there's 100 other guys that do this, but they don't do what I do. So
Right.
come to me for what I do.
And that's the thing, because it's, and I kind of joke about this, where it's like I feel like some days I wake up and I honestly wish I had different dreams, because I feel like, because my interests, my interests are filmmaking, pro wrestling, comic books, and there are three industries that I've found that are easy to hard to break into and easy to get lost in, as far as like the glutton of other people that are trying to do that same thing. And it's just like, and I understand the whole, well, if it was easy, everybody would be doing it. And it's like, it's not worth it if you didn't have to work hard for it. I understand all that stuff. But by the same token, at some points of like just utter frustration where it's like, I'm doing this, and nothing is happening. And I try to tell myself, you have to keep pushing through the no's, because that yes, like the moment you stop, it's like that yes is like just right around the corner. And I try to keep that in my mind as best I can, to not let the frustration get to me. Because admittedly, as I said, I wasted time getting frustrated from a wrestling standpoint and just sitting on my hands, not really promoting myself, pushing myself out there like I should. There's a time with my filmmaking stuff, like the idea I had for my comic book that I'm working on right now. It's called Cheerleader Karate School. Perky chicks and roundhouse kicks. It's like a mix of, if you took like Supernatural, Sailor Moon, and Dragon Ball Z, put them in a blender, you would get Cheerleader Karate School. And it started off as a comic book, and then I was like shooting a bunch of stuff. So I'm like, I'll shoot a live action sort of proof concept pilot or whatever, and just see what happens. And oh my God, it was just, I've scrubbed every bit of visual for the live action stuff for that thing, because it was so bad. It was such a failure. And people that were in like wanting to do it, be a part of it, at first, I could tell they lost interest in, especially like one of my lead actors lost interest a couple months in, which affected what they were doing and their commitment to it, and just affected the end product and stuff. And I was just because I put so much just time, literal like blood, sweat, tears, money into it, and it sucked really. And I had people talking junk about me after the fact about it, which I guess they didn't think it was going to get back to me, and it did. And it just kind of really frustrated me. It put me off really trying to do anything. Again, for a couple of years, I wasted time. So now it's like I'm playing catch up, trying to put myself out there more from the film standpoint, and try to pick up freelance gigs and stuff like that. Show people that I'm good at what I do. They should hire me. And also just from a wrestling standpoint. But again, it's like, as you said, there's so many people out there that do like the same thing. It's like, how do you set yourself apart? And then of course you're fighting the YouTube algorithm, and I don't even know how all that stuff kind of works. Yeah. I've seen, like, even from like a stop motion standpoint, I've seen where most of my stop motions with either like Marvel and DC action figures, or Transformers action figures. And Transformers, especially like stop motion with that, I love to do. But I've seen some channels where it's like it's just choppy, just out of focus, just crap looking animation. And my stuff is not like the buttery. There's some guys out there that just have stupid good stop motion animation skills, and they're just buttery smooth. It's just stupid. My stuff is nowhere near like that, but it's also not near the other end of the spectrum. But those guys at the other end of the spectrum, they've got 3 or 4 times, if not more, the views that I have on any one of my given stop motion videos. And it's just like, I don't understand what I'm doing. So it's just trying to figure that out, push past the frustration, and just really sit down and just think, okay, what am I not doing? Because it's like I can point, and this again can kind of go back to wrestling too. It's like I can sit there and be frustrated about, well, I'm not getting booked here or there, or as much as this person or that person. And it's like, I can't point at them and be like, say whatever about them and what they're doing. I have to, as they say, you don't want to point the finger, you pull the thumb. So I have to look in the mirror and really analyze, what am I doing? What am I not doing? What are they bringing and maybe I'm not bringing? What can I tighten up on? So that's how I'm trying to look at things from a wrestling standpoint, and just from filmmaking production standpoint, as well as even just my efforts with like my channels and my socials and stuff like that. It's like, what am I not doing to get to where some of these people are. There's steps to, that I can take. I know I'm going to get out of it what I put into it. So I just need to ratchet up what I put into it. And ideally, I'll see some positive results at some point in time. But again, I can't stop short because I'm not seeing the positive results tomorrow or next week, because those positive results, like that yes, can be right around the corner. And the moment I stop, what have I've just shot myself in the foot.
Mm-hmm. Mike's back. He said, follow your dreams, you'll make it. We'll check out your YouTube page. Did you say it was Skunk Life Media?
Life, L-I.
Skunk Life Media, yeah. Mike.
Skunk Life Media.
Life, L-I-F-E.
Yeah, I renamed it in the last year and a half because I had a dog, Skunk, who I lost middle of not last year, but the year before that, to a neurological thing. I had him for 7.5 years. I have a couple pups now that I love. I love them. Spoil my dogs. I'm a huge dog, but nothing makes me like Charmin soft quicker than dogs. And I love my guys now, but like Skunk, that was like my soul pup. That dude, he just hit me like a little bit differently. So like after I lost him, I wanted to kind of keep him in my mind. So I changed my film stuff to Skunk Life Media, and like the logo that I'm working on has like a dog's head and stuff like that. So
nice. I'm sorry for your loss there.
Yeah.
Talk about your goals, because not in the film stuff, because obviously, you have lots of goals there. You probably have all kinds of things that you really want to do on that side. But with the wrestling, did you have goals 10 years ago that you still have today, or have they changed, or how does that go for you?
It changed like a little bit. So like when I first got into it, like top of my mind was I want to work for Ring of Honor. I want to work in Japan. And it was pretty much like, because I didn't see like WWE as like a attainable goal at that point. Now, I know more these days, in the past several years, they're pushing like the smaller dudes.
Right.
I'm a cruiserweight. Like, so I just never had that as an aspiration. But it was always like Ring of Honor, which of course that has changed because you have your Impact and your AEW and MLW and just other sort of high level sort of independent promotions. So that's kind of changed. Going to Japan, just going international in general, that hasn't changed. That's still a goal of mine. I just want to be known more than I am, and I want to be known as a good hand, a good worker, somebody that will provide a great match with anybody on any show, and I just want to work consistently, like more than I do now. I realize that I have probably more matches behind me than I do in front of me, which is okay. I've enjoyed what I've done thus far, but I guess those are the goals now. It's just I just want to work good people on good shows, whether or not they're names or former names, or they're just guys who are hustling on the come up like myself. If they're good, I want to work them. If it's a good show, the good presentation, then I want to be a part of that show. That's kind of like where my goals are, just to work more, and then just to cross off some states and some international spots at this point.
Love it all, man, and I hope you get all that. Mike Rivera from Philadelphia, our current high impact champion around here, says, "What's up, guys? Sorry for tuning in late. Was a little busy. Yeah, well, champions are.
Yeah.
But thanks for showing up, Mike.
You
might notice next guy, Spitfire Marcus Johnson, says Sebastion Envi and Michael Schaefer, Best Picture, are an asset for any locker room. True professionals and can get the best of greens and vets."
Well, thank you there, Marcus.
So there you go. Let's go back to your partner real quick, because you did mention that you might have him on either by himself or with you.
Yeah.
Favorite Michael Schaefer road story? Because we're going to ask him the same question.
Oh my God, I know he's going to probably talk about what we can't exactly talk about because it involves another individual and it's just conversations that that we had with them, and just
The statute of limitations has not expired yet.
no, it has not. They're good too. God, man, but it's just I don't know. It's just you just have conversations with certain people on the road, and it's just like you just wonder yourself, do they really think that way, or are they really that way? It's kind of like that sort of thing. And I know he'll probably like lean towards like that same thing as far as like stuff we've like been through like together. But yeah, it's oh man.
But he wouldn't come. You don't think he'd come up with a certain incident, like that only you guys know about because you were there, and it was really really funny, and but you never told anybody because it was kind of fun, just between you.
Not really. I mean, like we haven't ever really had that many instances of like real like road stories because we haven't like really like I guess between going to Bayou Independent Wrestling in Mississippi, and they kind of go like Mississippi and a couple other spots because that's a haul to go out to there, and then going to Borger for MPW. That's kind of the most we've been kind of on the road like together at this point. Like most of our stuff was like local to MPX, which is like 20 minutes from where I live. It's like 30 minutes from where he lives. So we haven't really had any instances of like some like road, stuff going on with us anyway. I mean, like I imagine we have like separate stories and different cars we've been and stuff like that. But us together, we haven't got those yet. Like ask me like 6 months from now, which ideally we'll have been on the road a bunch at a bunch of different shows, and I'll have like some stuff. I ain't got it right now.
Well,
There you go.
what do you feel so far as best pictures, best tag team match that you feel that at the end of that match you guys killed it, you guys were awesome, and the guys that you worked with were awesome too, because that makes for obviously a great show.
Thus far, we had a couple matches with Dave Sagan and Tatum Manning out of MPX Metropolitan Wrestling, where we've won the tag titles from them, and then we defended them against them. And I think those two matches like were really really good. The first match especially because I put together a trailer like for that match, which was like I'll send you guys the link like later. It's a phenomenal trailer, which they played like a couple weeks before that match, like during the show at MPX. So it was nice to see it on the screen, see people kind of reacting to it and stuff like that. Of course, we threw it around the socials and stuff like that. So like we just had like a nice build up to the match. We had a great match. Both of them are phenomenal talents in their own right, either together as a tag team or as singles guys. They are great. Any show would benefit from booking either one of them. But those were definitely some of our best work, I think, to this point.
Now, the Cinephile Strong Style, right? Strong Style Cinephile. And your leading man, Michael Schaefer.
Mm-hmm.
Best picture. Do you guys have a finisher and what's it called? Because I love these names.
It is the director's cut.
And
so we had like a
how
we have the like one of my solo ones is the cutting room floor, and then we had the extended cut, and now we have the director's cut. We kind of refined the extended cut into like what the director's cut is, which is just kind of like a like Schaefer will like he'll come in, Schaefer will like pick him up and go back with him, and I'll catch him in like a STO. Like
okay,
Oh
awesome.
yeah, it's when it's like nice and it's in sync, it's beautiful. That's like one of my favorite things that we do. And we have this deal where like he'll like body slam him, I'll run at him, he'll pop me up for like a splash, and I keep on like our goal is to get me like the height I've gotten in the last couple times we've worked at MPW has been crazy. But I know we can get higher. That is like my goal. I want him to put me up in like the rafters to like come down. I love it. It's like my favorite thing to do.
Mike's back. He's like, what's your favorite style of wrestling? Have you worked hardcore? We have a certain hardcore champion around here that needs to be dealt with. Who will be
talking about
watching this
tax-
later on. He's not
talking about-
watching right now.
Yeah, talking about tax returns. I swear to God, when Mike Bucciaroni gets his tax return,
He's gonna
put a
pay to
bounty
have
on
Sebastion
Vincent
Envi go up
Cage.
and kick this guy's
Yeah,
ass.
he's gonna put a bounty on Cage. I swear he is.
I mean, for me, just technical, hard hitting is my favorite. I mean, that's goes with the whole strong style thing with me.
Yeah.
Right. That's my favorite type of match. Haven't been in any like hardcore matches. Like none that's gotten too crazy. I mean, I've been in some ladder matches. I remember one time at MPX we had a director's chair match where all the chairs were legal.
Okay.
So there's a bunch of there's a lot of chairs in that match. It was me and Dmitry Alexandrov, who again is another great talent that's floating around Texas. He gets around like other states and stuff like that, but he's really a good dude and a good worker. But we had one of those, and there's been like a couple like here and there. Nothing like too like bloody or crazy or anything like that to this point.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Do you find yourself like when you're done with wrestling, in other words, when you feel like your body can't do it no more, when you get to that point, do you picture yourself still staying in the business in one way or another, like it never leaving you? Like even though maybe you might be successful in the cinema side of you and all that good stuff, and you're really successful there, but wrestling is just kind of still part of you, and but you can't do it anymore. What I mean by that, will it ever leave you? Will you like maybe be a trainer or just be part of it somehow?
From an in-ring standpoint, probably not. Like from a training standpoint, probably not. I would never. I don't think I'm good. I think, but I don't think I'm like I can. I don't have what it takes to be like a trainer. Like I think there's a certain sort of mindset and just way that you need to be able to be a trainer of people. So I don't think that's the case. But I've long since. I mean, that's why. One of the things I do for going back to Motivate Pro Wrestling in Bork, Texas, we've been recording the shows with my camera gear. Like I take it out there and I'll set up the cameras, I'll cut the shows together and stuff like that, just so people can see it. And I'm gonna start like when I kind of reach out to these like various like promotions, be like, hey, if nobody's recording your stuff, I've got like Boku gear.
Awesome.
I will take it. You just gotta like fatten my envelope a little bit more, and I'll like record the show and I'll cut it for you. But that's what I wanted. That's what I would imagine myself doing, is just shifting to the production side of things. And just like I said, I like going to shows that have good production value and if I can help with that, which I can, then that's what I want to do, because it'll still keep me in the business and around it, which I love watching it and just being in it in some capacity. This will still allow me to be able to do that, even like you said, how long after like the body's like giving out on me, or old breaks and stuff like that catch up with me. There have been a few.
So being a cinephile, you must have a handful of favorite films. When I say the word favorite films, is there a certain one or two or three that pop in your head?
All-time favorite movie, regardless of live action, animation, doesn't matter. It is the 1986 animated Transformers movie.
It's a great one. That
is my all-time favorite movie. I like, the only thing that sucks about it is like when I watch it, I can't help but like recite the dialogue along with it. It's like a compulsion now. It's just,
and the best voices of all time of Optimus Prime and Megatron.
Oh yeah,
Peter
Orson Welles. Orson Welles as Unicron.
So good. I'm going to watch it like when I go home now. As far as like other, what's my top movies? Ginger Snaps, like the first one.
Okay.
Like
good one.
Phenomenal movie. Vantage Point came out a number of years back. That's the really good movie. First John Wick. I'm an action guy, so
the first John Wick, right?
Although,
do you think they needed to make all these other sequels?
The second one was good enough. The third one, the stuff with Halle Berry, like I just like and maybe I'm tainted on Halle Berry because for whatever reason they cast her as Storm in the Fox X-Men movies instead of Angela Bassett, which still just, oh my God, it triggers me to this day.
Yeah.
Because you look at Angela Bassett and how she's been in the Black Panther movies, and I'm like, oh my God, that's just
that would have been Storm, right?
Oh my God, just yeah. But like her, Halle Berry in John Wick movies, like she just brought down the movies. Like her action scenes, like I felt like they were so like slow,
right?
But I like some of the world building that they're doing. They've been doing with it from movie to movie. Ideally, the fourth one is the last one. Let's just cut it off there. That's why I was hoping that the Fast 10 was gonna be like the last Fast and the Furious movie, but apparently there's gonna be like an 11th one, and that's gonna be the last one.
That makes no sense.
Round number,
a nice round number.
Nice round number. And you went into space with 9. So it's like, where can we go from there? It's like I'm like,
that's
on board for 10. I'm on board for 10 because
go into space, you're done.
But it's like, I mean, are the Fast crew going to meet the Avengers or something? Because we have the multiverse thing going on with the MCU,
right?
Show up in like the Fast verse or something. So it's like
something like that, yes. Because they're running out of ideas, I guess.
Yeah.
You notice the professor there's got a Friday the 13th movie. Favorite horror film of all time?
Oh God, I would have to think about it, but it would be one of like the Friday the 13th movies. One of the old ones, not like the remake or anything. Because I remember like me and my best friend, basically my brother from another mother, like as kids, we would on Friday nights, Saturday nights, we would spend the night over at one of each other's houses. We would go to Blockbuster Video at
yes,
way back when that arcade thing,
Yep.
And we would get a Nintendo game. Again, God, I'm old. And we would get a Friday the 13th movie or a Nightmare on Elm Street movie or a Halloween movie, and we'd all seen it. Like we'd seen them like literally dozens of times. But that would always be like our ritual. 9 times out of 10, it would be a Friday the 13th movie just because we both love Jason. But every now and again, we kind of branch out and get like a Freddy movie or a Michael Myers movie or whatever. So definitely it would be a Friday the 13th movie. And I'm probably thinking like, either like the 4th one or the 5th one.
Yeah.
God, those are just all good movies.
You were the second person I've ever met that will stick up for part 5, because most people are just like, it's not Jason, it's not good, it's not Reed. Like they just hate it.
It was just, I mean, I understand they're trying to do something different.
Yeah, I mean, there are things about it to recommend it. Is it the best? No, but they're trying to do something different, and it wasn't a complete whiff. They didn't completely miss the mark.
Right. So, yeah.
Yeah, you're speaking my language when you say Blockbuster Video did exactly the same thing.
Yep.
I'd get either a Nintendo game or maybe a PlayStation 1 game, and then would get, my go-to was Jaws. I always got Jaws. I've seen Jaws about 50 times because I would get Jaws all the time when I couldn't decide which horror film to get. I'd go to Jaws.
Yeah. I was a Freddy guy, but a buddy of mine, that's how I discovered Evil Dead, because he was like, you must watch Evil Dead 2. This is great. And we watched it on a sleepover, and I'm like, to this day, I'll ask people when they're like, oh, I have no idea what you're talking about. And I'm like, and we're going to change that. We're going to change that very quickly because you must experience this.
Yes.
All right, man. Before we can get out of here, let everybody know your social handles, where they can get a hold of you, all that good stuff, and let the local people that see this in Texas where you're going to be performing next.
So the next date that I have is it is because we're in February. The next show will be March 4th in Borger, Texas, with Motivate Pro Wrestling in Borger, Texas, like out west, northwest-ish. But it's at the Borger Dome. It's a small town. Borger's a small town, but they've been showing up and showing out at the shows, showing us a lot of love. A lot of people have been coming out. So it grew from the first month to the second month. Looking forward to seeing it grow even more. Like the show, like the locker room, like what we're doing. Again, bringing my cameras and stuff. So I like the presentation that I'm putting forth and do the videos. So people need to check it out. If not in person, you can look it up on YouTube and see some of the stuff we got going on with MPW.
Is that under MPW or Motivate Pro Wrestling?
Motivate Pro Wrestling, yeah.
Okay, on YouTube if we wanted to check that out. Yeah, because
Yeah.
we promised Marcus, our boy, that we would check that out definitely.
Yes, definitely should. And
then-
me on
yeah.
Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, it's Sebastion Envi. So it's like as is, just my name just smushed together. So easy to find.
Awesome. Love it, man. All right, Professor, we're gonna get out of here. You have any parting gifts for Mr. Envy?
Yeah, I want to thank you for your time first and foremost, coming on and sharing with us. Much appreciated. We can't do this show without folks like you that are willing to come on and spend an hour with us and talk with the fans and stuff. There was a question I wanted to ask you about that was kind of like a young wrestler maybe kind of thing. You talked about you did wrestling and track in high school, and I'm wondering if, because track's cardio heavy and there's the timing aspect of it too, like do this task in this amount of time, do you find that's helped you in wrestling at all, and would you recommend that to others that might be aspiring wrestlers?
Not so much for that, just for the training and just putting your body through different types of training. Because the wrestling, the training I did every day with practice and stuff like that for wrestling was different than I did for track. And I did other sports too. Just my standout sports were track and wrestling, but I did soccer. I did like JV football, stuff like that. So I would just say like just do a lot of sports, a lot of athletic activities because they train differently. So it's good to just put your body through different stuff. Like I've even thought about now taking like boxing classes and stuff like that, just because I want to put my body through different things. I don't want to plateau on ways that I'm like hitting the weights or doing my cardio work or this or that. I just need to keep my body kind of guessing and keep it working and never get used to a certain thing. And I would say that for young folks too, just try a whole bunch of different stuff. Number one, see what you like to do, and it just puts your body through just different stuff.
Excellent advice. And I'm gonna put myself over a little bit, maybe blow your mind a little bit, since you're a Friday guy. I have lived my entire life no more than half an hour away from all of the filming locations for the original Friday the 13th.
Wow.
Camp Novi Bosco is about 30 minutes away from me. I'm maybe 10 minutes away from the town of Hope, New Jersey, and Hope is in the last few years started to really embrace that they have this history and that there is this movie that was shot there back in the day that is so important to people. Like I've driven past the cemetery gates. If you remember the first murder from Friday 1, she runs past the cemetery. That's like right on the main road there. I've driven past that. I don't know how many times. And just, in a few weeks there, I'm going to go out to Hope and just make a day of it because I have a friend of mine that's starting to get into that stuff. And I'm like, that all was shot here, right? And we can go over to Hope and whatnot. And she's like, the minute I have money, we're going out there. I'm like, okay.
Now I need to get like booked somewhere like near there. So like we can meet up and like
field trip, man. Field trip. Oh, we'd love to have you. And you talk about a place that has good production and stuff like that. That interests you. SWO has that, and look them up on Facebook.
Definitely, I'll check them out.
Susquehanna Wrestling Organization. Look them up because they have great production. I am their ring announcer right now, currently, but I got a great look at the way they run things last show. Usually I didn't up to this point. This was only my third or fourth time doing it, but last night I really got a great look at how they handle everything with all the cameras and everything, and how they handle gorilla and all that kind of stuff. It was really, really cool to experience that last night. So if you're looking for somebody that has great or production value, so to speak, they're your guys.
Cool. I'll check them out.
So meantime, man, don't go anywhere before we go off the air. Professor, do you know who's on the hot seat next week?
I know you keep sending me these schedules, and then I keep doing all these other things and just losing it.
Well, you see, if you said you did, I'd call you a liar because that makes two of us because we don't have anybody right now.
Well, maybe you can go back and talk to Tanner and be like, hey.
Well, there is a potential for one if he's available, and he's going to let us know. And his name is Robbie Illuminati.
Oh, nice.
However, If Mr. Illuminati is not available next week, he will be on the following week. So stay tuned for that. You guys share our videos out, like the ones that you like, subscribe to our channel. We've had interviews with over 200 professional wrestlers, both locally and abroad. Everybody from guys that have been in this business for 5 minutes to guys to WWE Hall of Famers. So check us out on YouTube, Around the Turnbuckle. Check out Sebastion Envi on all his platforms, and look up Motivate Pro Wrestling on YouTube, and Skunk Life on YouTube as well. And check us all out, man, because we appreciate everybody commenting, the Bucciaronis and Chris Vance and all you guys. We couldn't do that without you. Thank you so much. And Sebastion, don't go anywhere, okay?
Mm-hmm.
I want to thank really quickly everybody last night who came up to me. I think there was about a dozen of you that came up to me last night, and I know a lot of you watch this show now, that came up to me and told me that each time I do the pro wrestling, the ring announcing thing, I'm getting better and better at it. I appreciate each and every one of you who did that last night, whether you're a wrestler, whether you're a fan, and all I want to do is add to that show, and I'll do my best to do so. So I just want to personally thank you on this platform for each one of you that came up to me last night. It made me feel like $1 million when I am my biggest self-critic. And to hear that from a lot of you guys last night meant a lot to me. So I just wanted to let you all know that. Thank you very much. And I'll see you next time at SWO on March the 18th for the 22nd anniversary. And I'll see all you guys watching next Sunday, 6:00 on Around the Turnbuckle.
You think you know me?
Oh, yeah. If you smile.